Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the People, Passion, and Purpose podcast with Mungi. April promises to be a lot of interesting stories, podcasts, people on the podcasts, and a new financial year brings in a whole different ball game altogether. And every year it's a new story and a new pace. And specifically today's guest, is a very close friend of mine, a senior from my same college, that is Bangalore Institute of Technology, and then a senior at my previous organization as well, and a very close friend who introduced me to the wonderful world of sustainability. So I know Aakash as the person who knows very passionate about sustainability, solar cookers, any bamboo brushes, and a lot of things. And he expressed his interest to share his experiences, point of views on the world of finance. And we're getting into a new financial year. And I thought that will be the best thing to kick off this particular April segment with. So, welcome, Akash, to Ungidasa's podcast.
Yeah, hi Sunil. Thanks for this opportunity. Hi to everybody who are listening. Yeah, this is Aakash here.
Yeah, so Akash, thank you for joining on board. So, yeah, I think for me, the disclaimer that I would like to say is my personal investments are, very, very bad. So when you said personal investments, I was personally very looking forward to hearing from you. And
Yeah, it's more on personal finance, not just investment. So you should safeguard yourself and then invest. So yeah, I will try to share all my experiences. I've read a lot of books, invested
yes.
a lot of my money. So I think I would be
Mm.
more than happy to share maybe a framework that works.
Yes, so I've had my fair share of listening to finance gurus on YouTube, LinkedIn,
Uh-huh.
few other places,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
and decided saying, "Oh, this is too complicated for me to."
Yeah.
Hopefully, you can make it simple for me and simple for the audience as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I will try to do my best for sure.
So what's your space, or what how do you define personal finance?
Yeah, personal finance to me is more about managing your money. So, yeah, a lot of people say that money is not everything in life, right? But it is certainly
Mhm.
not nothing. It it plays a vital role in your life. So, I mean, you cannot just ignore telling it that money is not everything in life, but you should give attention that it requires.
Mhm.
So I cannot say tomorrow that yeah, I met with some accident or an operation or my family met with something, and I cannot say that without money I'll be able to take care of them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, or for example, you suddenly lose your job, you have a lot of EMIs that you will have to pay, so you cannot simply stop your life just because of that, right? So these are
Mhm.
something that are very crucial. I think we should give a lot of thought about it, build a framework that works for us. So considering the lifestyle that we have, considering the commitments that we have, and the emotional angle that also comes from the family. So I think one should know how to balance all of this together and try to lead a happy life. So it is not about you worry, look into your bank balance, look into your investments every day. That is not the thing. But you should work on safeguarding yourself. Maybe spend little time at the beginning of the year, and at the end, middle you see how it is going, and at the end you can say, okay, yeah, whatever I have planned for this year should is executed, and then you should be thankful to yourself. So I think that is how I see finance. As it's not more on Excel sheets, you as a lot of people say, right? So open an Excel sheet, extrapolate it, do that, do this. I think those are all, yeah, maybe not so important if you understand the gist well.
Mhm.
So that is crucial. So I think a framework that works for us should be designed by us. So this is more
Mhm.
important.
So how has it been for you, like this framework that you designed for yourself? What were your adventures
Yeah.
in this whole space?
So yeah, coming to myself, I think I was brought up in a middle class family, so we had a lot of debts to that had to be resolved, and we never had. I would say we had a comfortable lifestyle, not a great lifestyle where It was more about lavish spending and things like that. We used to walk, save money, and we used to maybe use that money to buy something that is important in our lives. And I also happened to involve in my father's business early, just to make sure that we don't have an additional employee in his organization. I give him the supporting hand. I understood the tricks of the trade, and this is how I started my journey. But yeah, at the beginning it was not that easy. It was complicated. Numbers were all around and it was difficult. But then, thanks to my grandfather, who started explaining things to me in a simpler way that I could understand at the age of 13, 15, 20. So yeah, he was one of the gurus, I would say, for me in my life.
Mhm.
So
And do you feel that
mhm.
everybody needs a guru like that?
I think it's magical. You need somebody like that for sure. But nevertheless, yeah, today in the connected world, I don't think you need somebody in your family sitting next to you teaching all of that. But I think there are a lot of things. I mean, I was just speaking to ChatGPT around 30 minutes back on the similar topic, and it kind of summarizes whatever you should do in a very clean and neat fashion. We never had access to all of this before, right? Now I think people are blessed to have these.
But Akash, sometimes it's blessing in disguise
Disguise.
else. Yeah, too much of
Happens.
information always puts us off.
Yeah, correct. I think yeah, this is true. You should act more as a filter rather than accepting
Mm.
anything and everything that comes to you.
So, for somebody like me, say, for example, very, very young in their financial planning space,
Mhm.
where would you, or what would you tell me to look at first?
Okay. So first, a short disclaimer. Whatever I'm gonna tell is out of my experience. I am not as for example, a SEBI registered advisor to tell you to do that or this. I'm just trying to share my experience. I think it is very important for all of you to do your own due diligence before you execute. So with this disclaimer, I think I would like to start on insurance first. So assume you don't have any savings with you now. I would like to tell more about what is insurance, health insurance in particular, and why is it important.
Yeah, sure, please.
So Sunil, I think I was reading an article recently. It says that majority of Indians are
Mm-hmm.
one maybe
Paycheck.
fatal injury away from becoming a getting into the poverty line. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them are out of the poverty line, but one health disaster that happens to them or somebody in their family, they go back to their poverty state. So this is the state of majority of in India today. And insurances are something that is not deeply penetrated into the country. Hardly 2 to 3% of the people have health insurances. It is like for example, healthy adult like me, it hardly costs 5 to 6,000 rupees per year to get a cover of like 4 to 5 lakhs. So
Mm-hmm.
but we easily neglect this. This is something that we should avoid at any cost. We should cover ourselves in terms of health insurance. I would suggest at least 3 lakhs per person who is not a senior citizen is mandatory. And you should also cover all your dependents. So maybe your parents, maybe your in-laws. So if they're above 60, at least make sure that you have a cover of 5 lakhs. This is extremely crucial. And don't fall to the trap that your organization where you're working is already covering in your insurance and you don't have to worry about it. This is a false
Mm-hmm.
notion, because maybe I'll tell you a scenario. So for example, somebody is diabetic. So he gets into some serious trouble. Maybe as long as he's in the organization, he's fine. But if he gets into
Mm-hmm.
a newer organization, then the pre-existing ailments in many cases might not be covered.
Oh.
So there is a maturity period for it. For example, only after 2 years, such ailments would be covered. And same is the case with your parents also. When you're some organizations have that liberty of covering the pre-existing ailments, but many do not. So if you just neglect and keep switching jobs, right, maybe you will lose a lot of these.
Hmm.
And when you have to really pay, you will have to pay a huge premium. So it's always better to have a insurance that you maintain regularly out of your organization. So wherever you move, okay, your organization gives you something, it is something extra, but you better be prepared for your covers. So this is crucial. And also, if you don't claim, you get no claim bonuses every year, and this will help you to increase your cover and give you greater facilities as you maintain this. It's like 3 to 4 thousand yearly, maybe 5,000 yearly per person, and it gives you a lot of cover. And if you're out of your job or something happens to you, I think this will be a great savior. So this, I think, maybe there are a lot of
Mm.
online portals available. Do your due diligence, see, compare, and I think it's a must. So thumb rule is at least 3 lakhs per person, and if they have senior dependents, then I think at least 5 lakhs for them would do.
Mm. So it doesn't seem too much, saying 5,000 for the entire
Yes,
doesn't seem too big of a thing,
yes,
at least for those that are working
yes,
in the carpets.
exactly, exactly. But
I
it
think
is not the money is huge, but the awareness is not there.
I think even I have not done this that way. I was in corporate, right? So I've also not done saying, yeah, insurance is there from the company, why bother?
Yeah. So yeah, do consider this. It's crucial, I believe.
hmm And yeah, so
The
all those that are listening in, I think this is something that maybe you reflect on, not really get into it directly,
okay.
like Akash said,
Yes,
due diligence, but
yes,
something
yes,
to
yes.
reflect upon.
Yeah.
So what else
And
comes along?
once you're done with your health insurance, I think the next thing that you should focus upon is your term insurance.
hmm
So do you know, Sunil, what is term insurance? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I think I've heard of this term insurance. It's that in a situation where something happens to the person who is insured, then there
Mm-hmm.
that mass payout to
Yes, exactly. So you're
whoever is
right.
the nominee.
Yeah. So in most of the Indian families, right, hardly one of them or two of them would be the sole breadwinner for the family,
Yeah.
right? So maybe in the corporate world today, maybe both husband and wife are working, but in many cases outside of the corporate world, I think only one of them would work. So what happens typically is maybe you can reflect on your situation by yourself, but if I try to compare my example, right? So when I was like 10 years ago, when I started earning, maybe little after I started earning, my home expenditures were say 20 30,000 per month. So
hmm
today, after 10 years, it has come up to say around 60,000. These are just, I mean,
Numbers.
rounded off figures I'm trying to explain.
hmm
Yeah. So if you consider this, annually there is a 100% hike. So it was like 3.6 lakhs then. It is around 7 lakhs today, right?
Yeah.
So you have to see, for example, if the sole breadwinner of the family decreases for some reason, then the family is into a extreme deep trouble, because they do not know how to handle the economic situation, and they don't have a position to earn enough money. And the situation gets even more complicated when they have a lot of loans. For example, they would have bought a home assuming that they will be able to pay EMIs. So if something like this happens, I think it's a very big disaster that happens to the family. And if you extrapolate, that is crucial. So in 10 years, if you see, it is doubling already, the expenditures, home expenditures. So if you continue to extrapolate in the next 40 years, right, it will be maybe now 6 lakhs, it will be 12, and then again 24, and then 48, 1 crore. So by the time you retire, maybe in the next 40 years, you need 1 crore annually.
hmm Damn.
So this is easily neglected.
mm
So this cover. What you can do is you can transfer this risk to an insurer. So earlier you do term insurance, the better it is. Maybe when you are like say 25, 26, the hardly it comes up to around 10 to 12,000 annually, and you get a cover of 1 crore.
hmm
So I think if you are a sole earner to your family, right, this is something that can not be neglected at any cost.
So any
Maybe you can
say,
take a
yeah,
bit
this
of
comes in handy.
big bit. Yeah. Yes, yes. You can take a bit of risk if two or three of them are working, but if you are alone working, then it's a must. And if you have a lot of debts for your home, your car, then I think this is a must go. So 10,000 a month roughly is not too much, right? But it will actually help your family when you're not there.
Hmm. That is true.
So, yeah. So these are the insurances I actually advise to people. So please consider these two. Health insurance and term insurances are crucial. So I think any savings that you plan to do, make your money grow, these are crucial. Without this, I would not recommend anybody to invest in gold, fixed deposit, mutual funds, stocks, cryptos. No, I don't recommend. So only if you cover these two, then you take a next step of saving your money, investing it, compounding it, and yeah, do whatever you want with it. So these are crucial basic steps.
Mm-hmm. So you said somewhere around financial planning. So what's this
Mhm.
planning?
So this planning is more about once you safeguard yourself, right, with these insurances that I spoke about, then what you could mainly do is you should make your money work for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you should reach a stage where your money continues to work for you and you can retire.
Hmm. And in today's
So,
world, is there
mhm.
possibility of somebody retiring?
I mean, see,
Big
technically,
question.
I have planned my financial planning in such a way that even today, if I don't work, if I stop working, I get enough returns which are sufficient to take care of my family, and my returns would
Mm-hmm.
also grow with time. So it is inflation protected. So this was not possible overnight or within a year. It's a very long planning that I had to do, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to undergo. So this is possible. I don't think it's impossible.
Mm-hmm. So it's not an immediate, uh, you
It's not a
you don't
yeah.
get.
It's not an immediate outcome. Yes, but if you ignore it, then you're gone. By the time you retire, you need so much of money that you will not be able to manage it.
Hmm. This is like starting early, but starting surely.
Yes, correct. So earlier you start, the better it is.
Hmm. So
For
now,
for example, if you start 5 years early, right,
mm-hmm.
and you invest well in the right way, then you can have double the money as you originally planned to retire with.
Hmm.
This is just a thought rule. So if you're a best investor, that is possible. You plan to retire with say 10 crores, then if you start 5 years early and do all of these on time, maybe you can retire with 20 crores. That is a possibility.
Hmm. Interesting.
So how do you go about it is crucial. So there are a lot of financial instruments that are available for you to identify, explore, invest, understand it, let it grow, and it should have its kids, and those kids should have their own kids. All of them should work for you. This is key.
Hmm. So this is like a full family tree of financial investments.
Exactly. So I normally tell this to people. So if you have mango with you, right? If you just eat the mango and destroy the seed, uh, then you don't have anything. But if you sow this one seed and patiently wait for it, properly water it, you have tree that will yield a lot of fruits for you in the future. And if you have this tree, then you have maybe you can plant 50 or 100 more trees, and I mean, you can imagine how much of fruits you can generate out of it. All that matters is select the right seed, invest it on time, have patience, and work towards it. Then you can make all of it. But if you destroy the first seed that you have, I mean, you don't plan early in your career, then you will not be able to do all this.
Hmm. So, you know, is as a young professional coming from also a similar middle class place, FDs are
Mhm.
gold is our usual goal.
Correct. Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Huh. So now we are more speaking on the instruments that we have to invest our money. Of course, yeah. I'm sure maybe your parents would not let you. When you say you are investing in the stock market, they would shout at you, right? I think it's the case with many of them in the family.
Yes, 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 definitely.
So they okay. Let me speak about gold first. Sunil, have you heard of gold as God's money anytime?
Yeah, somewhere my reference is more in terms of, Aztec, Spain. Once you get
Okay.
gold, it always is going to be there. Uh,
Uh-huh. So
somewhere
this
on
this
that.
is a good. So how I can correlate is, for example, with 1 gram of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can afford a cycle today, for example. Then you keep this 1 gram of gold. Even after 50 years later, if you give this 1 gram of gold, you can still get a cycle that is similar. But if you convert it to cash and you have that cash with you, 50 years later, that cash is worthless.
Hmm.
This is because of the inflation. So gold, the beauty of gold is it is inflation protected in many cases. So this is why our elders used to tell us that you should have enough gold with you, which will safeguard you when you are in need.
Hmm. So gold
But
is
the
a default investment.
yeah, but the mistake that we do is what we do is we invest in jewelry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you invest in jewelry, the problem is they do a lot of making charges, wastage, all of these. And when you try to sell, again they will give you a lower value. And probably you would lose. For example, if you buy a necklace today for 1 lakh, if you try to sell it back in the next 1 month where there is no change in the gold rates, you will only get 70% of it, 70 to
Mm-hmm.
60% of it. So this is the
You
problem
lose.
with gold. You're
Hmm.
not just paying for gold, you're also paying for the making that goes into it, and you're also benefiting the person who is trading. So I think jewelry is not a right gold investment for me. I see that the option that one should exercise is the sovereign gold bonds, which government exercises. So government issues a lot of sovereign gold bonds. Have you heard of it?
Not really. So I had heard of jewelry only.
Okay, so these sovereign gold bonds are the bonds by the central government. So you could actually uh, pay the money and get gold bonds with you. So they will also pay you an interest of some fixed 3 or 4% regularly, and at the time of selling, it is almost matching with the gold rate. So you will also get the growth from the gold rate growth. So this is paper gold is how it is called, and this is more safer because government issues issuing it. On the other
Mm-hmm.
side, you are also not losing your money on making charges and wastages. So this is something people should explore and consider. I can speak a lot about it, but I think I just want to cover other topics, so I will just give these pointers where people can explore. But I think sovereign bonds are a great way of investing.
Hmm. So this access to this bond is open to everybody.
Yes, everybody can do.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, yeah. So what else?
And
Other financial.
yes, and one thing I would like to tell is there are sovereign gold bonds. If you buy it from the government directly, I think you also get a tax exemption. So this is
Okay,
an icing on the
it's a
cake.
two in one. Yeah.
Yes. But on insurance, I forgot to tell one thing. Somebody tries to tell you that you have ATC deductions coming, you have insurance coming, term insurance. So if they try to mix up more than two instruments, right, please stay away from them, because they are only trying to mix, confuse you, and make money for themselves. So please do not fall into these traps of people who are mixing different instruments and trying to sell you. They're only trying to make money for themselves and not really leave something for you. So this you should be careful about in terms of insurances. Do not fall to this trap of confusions.
Hmm. Okay, that's interesting.
So LIC, I am dead against LIC. This is my personal opinion, because they try to cover term insurance, health insurance, whatnot, fixed deposits, ATC deductions, all of this. If you consider at the end of 20 years, right, what you get is 3 to 4% return, which is like extremely low.
Hmm.
Inflation is at 6% in the country, so you're not even saving your money.
So you end up losing. You
Exactly, yes.
get there, it has no value.
Yeah, so better understand these policies, see historic data, and then decide. The key idea is you should play around with the risk and the percentage of returns that you get. So how I plan my investment apart out of gold, of course, gold I did not spend too much, because I got it from my family, my mother, and only during marriage I had to buy a little gold. But apart from that, I never bought any gold. I
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt I had enough to protect myself. But I started my journey in fixed deposits, as you also said. So my grandfather was my guru. When I was 13, 14, he used to take me to post office. We used to invest 500 rupees in a fixed deposit, wait for 5 years to get it converted to 1,000 rupees.
Mm-hmm.
So this cycle he has shown me a lot. So waiting for 500 rupees for 5 years, so this is what he has taught me. And he used to make me also read all the documents that were there. So I used to understand a lot of things. For example, then SB accounts used to also give like 4 5% interest, but there were a few tricks. For example, on 9th or 10th, if you invest your money and take it back, the interest was calculated with the amount that was there on 10th. But after that, even if you have zero, you will still get the interest on the amount that was left on 10th. So such things I used to
Mm-hmm.
understand. I used to play around. And even for example, when I had to buy my computer, right? So 2 years of savings, all the savings that I get. For example, when my father asked me to get his scooter repaired, I used to go one way in the scooter, and while coming back, he normally used to give me for auto rickshaw ride, but or a bus ride. I used to put it in my pocket and I used to walk all the way. And a rupee that was saved, I used to like collect it in a piggy bank and then move it to an SB account. And after 2 years, I was able to afford a computer. So this is something that has taught me a lot. So I was also a by default investor in FD when I started.
Hmm. It is slow progress, but definite progress.
Yeah, exactly. With fixed deposit, what you should be more careful about is the economic cycles of the world. So what happens is, at this point, if you see, the interest rates are extremely high, 8 or 8.5%. But I don't think it's going to stay like that for a long time. So in the next year or two, it would come down. But if you lock in your FD for the next 10 years at this rate, right, you would continue to enjoy these benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something you should keep a eye on. So you should understand the global economic cycles. When is when are we getting into recession? And this is the point of time where there is crunch for money, and you get higher returns on fixed deposits. Once there is there is some quantitative easing by the Fed in US, there is a lot of money that is pushed into the market, and this is the point where I think money is easily available and nobody will give you more returns on your FDs. So
Mm.
this is the time when you encash such high returns on FDs.
Mm. So if, for example, now I invest say
Hmm.
20,000 in an FT, so you're telling that 8% is the return on like highest return
Yeah, it depends
for a
on
long
where
time.
you invest. Correct. For example, from the post office, if you invest in a Kisan Vikas Patra, right, you get around 8.2 to 8.5% today, I believe. So for the next 10 years, you'll consistently get 8.2 to 8.5%, irrespective of what happens in the market.
Mm. So you said post office, but then we bank.
Yes.
Like first thing that comes to our mind is FD and bank, not FD and say post office.
These what I'm speaking about are bonds actually. So the government issued bonds from the post office. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
FDs you can also put it in the bank, but I think nobody is ready to commit for a high time. If you go ask them that I need 10 years fixed deposit at the same right, they will probably offer you 6% or 5%. They will not offer you more.
Hmm.
So you should be choosy. You should not go to some local union banks and things like this where you might get higher returns, but suddenly the bank might close.
Hmm.
At the same time, you should not go to a stage where you invest in a bank which gives you like hardly 3 4%, which is not even covering the inflation, which is at 6% today.
Hmm.
So my choice of fixed deposits are mostly government bonds, which are national savings certificates and Kisan Vikas Patra from the post office that you get, which will give you higher yields.
Hmm. So this is again, just go to the post office, ask for this Kisan Vikas Patra, and that is
Yes,
for you.
yes. You can.
Hmm. Okay. So I think that's very interesting because these are things that maybe I was completely unaware of.
Yeah. So yeah, you should consider trying this, Sunil. It's a great opportunity to invest, and government is giving the guarantee. So the government security is there, so you don't have to worry.
Mm-hmm. So Akash, you put some light in terms of gold investment, bonds,
Yeah.
fixed deposits, and the cycles. When it's the right time to invest, uh,
Yes.
protection and all of that. So I continuously see a lot of all of these celebrities or cricketers or anybody saying, "Oh, mutual funds is the
Yeah.
way to go." So is that also in your financial instrument list, or
Mhm. Okay.
what's your
So
thoughts on that?
yeah, yeah. So maybe
Akash, I'm not sure I hear you.
is a question, right? So yes, is a riskier bet that you're going to take. Before that, you should say safer investment like gold and um, say fixed deposits. I think I have a thumb rule for myself that both of them put together should at least help me with 15 years of survival.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that I do. So I mean, it is not a thumb rule, but I practice this. So at least for the 15 years, whatever is necessary for me to live, considering the inflation, right? So much of money I had put in gold and fixed deposit before I touch something called mutual funds or stock market.
Hmm. So you did put the first guardrails in with regards to gold and safe.
Yes,
Then you moved on to
yes,
the mutual.
yes. So you can understand that stepping stones I'm trying to tell you, right? First, you covered yourself in terms of insurances, and then put it into safer investment that protects you, and then take the riskier bets.
Hmm.
So
So
this is actually financial planning.
okay, so
So yeah,
you
yeah, go on.
yeah you do your like I think this is that software engineering backup. So you have the backup to you first the backup and then get on to something else. So you have something that's if everything fails, you have something.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm. So you
So
said this
Sunil,
mutual funds is risky. So what happens?
yes, I would switch to stock market investing first and then go to mutual fund, because I think mutual fund
Mm-hmm.
is a subset of stock market investing.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't understand what is direct stock marketing or equity investing, and people don't understand what is mutual fund. So they get confused and carried away many a times, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever somebody they go by it. So I think stock market is something that you should not invest in a company just assuming or hearing.
Yeah, Akash.
Okay, so stocks are a piece of a company or an organization. You are not just investing your money and in the next 1 or 2 weeks it will magically increase by 5%. You sell it. That is not the mindset with which you should invest in stocks. The way you should invest in stocks is more like you are owning these businesses.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So when I say I have invested in, for example, company X, it does not mean that I just put my money there and in the next 2 weeks it will grow. I own a portion of the business. You are a business owner. That is how you should prepare yourself for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Go
think the
either
right way
ways.
to, sorry.
It could go either ways. If the company crashes, then you crash with that. And then if your company grows, you grow with that.
Correct, but I think you should be choosy. I mean, when you go to the market, when you need some vegetables, you choose the right stocks.
Hmm. Akash, I'm not able to hear you.
Choose, right? I need this much of a brinjal. Next day, I might need this much of carrot. So you choose what will last for long. At the same time, for tomorrow, if you need something that is like very little old, also is fine, because you're going to consume it in the next day. So you have to plan it accordingly. So how long you are ready to invest in a company is more important. when you're picking. And also, you do, as a minority shareholder in the company, right, as you rightly put, you don't have too much of a say in what the company should do. For example, I
Mhm.
own for one a share of Reliance, for example, then I really don't have a say as to what Reliance should do in its day-to-day operations, right? I cannot go to Ambani, say I have one share, so I decide what should happen in the company.
Mm.
So I believe in Ambani, for example, that he takes right decisions in the best interest of the organization, that is that will be able to generate for everybody. So you understand that you are believing in the management of the organization now, right? So this is how you have to pick your stocks. You have to see the historic records of all of these promoters and the managing directors of the company. Then you should also look into all of their financials. So there are balance sheets, profit and loss, which you can easily get publicly, and you should be able to read all of these. And you should also, most importantly, read all their annual reports, which where they say what were their achievements in the previous year, what do they plan to do next year. If possible, you should also attend their annual general meetings and all of these, where you get a fairer idea of what this company is doing. And then
Mhm.
you have to it stock marketing investing is not just, for example, today there is a EV boom and somebody is some companies working on electric vehicles. You just don't pour your money assuming that miraculously it will grow. Maybe the promoter who is there is known to do mischief, and he has taken a lot of money out of the business for his personal needs in a gray shady fashion. So you don't know, right? So it is very important to understand the business, go through it in detail, understand the promoters, see their financial statements, and then attend their AGMs, and then make a decision. So this is kind of a very tedious process, and it's not easy. It's not just like you see the number and then you do. You have to create a framework for yourself to invest.
Hmm. So this is
So when I yeah,
this is
go
hard
ahead.
work.
This is extremely hard work, but it pays you. So
Hmm.
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. So for me, thankfully, I'm not from the, yeah, you might ask me, I'm not from the commerce background. How do I analyze financial statements? So in
Mm-hmm.
the balance sheet, what are assets, what are liabilities? In the profit and loss statements, how do I make, how do I compute CAGR? How do I understand the P ratio of the company? So these are extremely crucial for you to look at. Without this knowledge, I don't think anybody should invest in the stock market.
Hmm. So you said P
How I got
and then.
how I got this knowledge is from my wife. So she is from the accounting background. So I have bothered her a lot, and I am able to learn many things from her. I am always thankful to her for that.
So for somebody who may not have that luxury of somebody
Mhm.
as somebody in that accounting space, in
Mhm.
so this P ratio and you said something on CHGR. So again, Greek and Latin. So what happens there?
Mhm. So there are different ways to approach. So there are extremely good books that are written historically, which will give you insights. For example, the first book I read was The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. So it's like a
Mm-hmm.
book written in the 1940s, I believe, 40s or 50s, I believe, and it is still relevant today. And he explains it in such a beautiful fashion that you would fall in love with stock market. And the greatest of the great also believes in this book. For example, Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger believes in this book. They say that this is the best book that is written on investment. So I truly admire that book, and it has given me a lot of thoughts and learning.
Mm-hmm.
So people should consider reading this.
Mm-hmm. Can you repeat it again for benefit of the readers?
Uh, yeah, the book is called The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham.
Thank you. Thanks, Akash. So the intelligence.
So apart,
Hmm.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, I was just trying to make that reference. So everything is now intelligent. You have artificial intelligence. You have so many things
Well,
coming now.
yeah, Sunil, but I am telling you, maybe I did it the hard way. People can be smarter today as well. For example, Recently I was doing some analysis. I was so bored that I just copy pasted some content into chat gpt. I asked
Mm.
it to figure out what I was looking for, and instantly it was able to answer me. So I used to spend days on it. Now I don't think people need days for that.
Mm. So there are different ways. There are smarter ways.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Mm. Interesting. So this company's stocks you were
Hmm.
sharing, and then there's a possibility that you'll
Hmm.
have to go deeper in, dig deeper in, and find out what's the right stock for you and get on that.
Exactly. Yes, yes. So for myself, so the way I told the financial planning, right? Even for stock market investing, I have a 50-point checklist, around 40 to 50-point checklist, where I do the preliminary screening, see if it is meeting all my criteria. Then I dig deeper into the company. For example, just to give you statistics, right? Out of the 20 companies that I pick, maybe one of them I go deeper. So this is how I plan my research. So I don't read annual reports or the transcripts for each and every company. I do a preliminary check, seeing if it is meeting my criteria. Only then I get into. So when I say preliminary check, all that I check mainly is whether the business is credible and do they have a good track record of maintaining healthy financials. Only then I spend time in understanding the company. I spend understanding their nature of business, their promoters, and then I decide what is the right point to buy the stock and how much should I invest.
Hmm. There are many things to consider, and everybody
Yes.
approach.
Yeah, this is not an everybody's approach, right? So it requires a lot of time, patience, dedication. So this is where mutual funds come into play.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So in terms of stock market, I think the biggest thing I would like to share is the pump and dump. Have you heard of it?
Yes, yes, yes. I think I've heard of that. So
So
I think Elon Musk something to do with. I think on a separate scale, this Dogecoin or some kind like that.
yes. So what happens in the stock market is maybe you would have also got an SMS telling this stock is up for some big business venture, and in the
Mm.
next 1 year it's gonna increase by 20 times and things like this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, so what happens in this scenarios typically is first they find some small companies which are like not so popular, not making any revenue. They invest heavily in that company, say 50 crores, 100 crores into that company. Then they
Mm-hmm.
start using these at low price they buy, and then what they do is they start putting all the money, little money, I would say, into all these marketings where they say it's going to grow. You should consider buying, investing. There are a lot of gurus in the YouTube and other communities who also try to promote such kind of a things. So what
Mm.
happens is when they buy it at 10 rupees, then the price start will start growing when Sunil or Akash starts buying. So
Mm.
eventually what happens is the price might go to 20 rupees. What they do is silently they start selling at 20 and exiting. So what is happening is the one they bought at 10, they would have sold to Sunil at 15 and me at 16. They would have made money and exited. So we don't know what to do with this stock, right?
Mm. It's
So initially, yeah, initially they pump their money, and then they market and then dump. So do not fall to these traps. Nobody can give you stock market investment instrument. So nobody can tell you this company is good, that company is good. So you have to do your own due diligence, and you have to take a bet that is good for you. And yeah, this is something that I wanted to share.
Hmm. So a company has fixed amount of shares. So if the company cannot go on multiplying the number of shares it has. When somebody sells, somebody else buys. So only when somebody sells is when somebody buys.
Huh, exactly. You are right. There are ways of increasing the number of shares, but maybe that is out of scope. We don't have to speak about it
Hmm.
now. In general, yeah.
Hmm. So you said okay, this is like if now done your basic investment, you're started with that, then you get to mutual funds, then before that you get
Yeah.
into stocks. What else
Yes.
is an instrument that maybe somebody like me should have a look at?
I think the insurance, once you cover your insurance fixed deposit, right? I think it's extremely good for people who have at least completed the degrees, right? Should look into stock market. It's a very big opportunity, and India is at a very good level now today, where we are actually at the turning point where our economy would boom, our stock markets would boom. So we will have to really have patience, at the same time invest in the right things. But yeah, this is not an easy job. You have to do your due diligence. But if you don't want to do this and want to relax, then the option is mutual fund. So every mutual fund would have somebody called a fund manager.
Mm-hmm.
So what he does is whatever I told now. So he does it for you.
So somebody else does it for us. Okay.
Exactly. So you have to pay a small money for them and then they take care of it. So what happens in mutual fund is you give your money to a fund manager. So he decides where to, he does all the research which he thinks he should do. And then he will start investing your money on your behalf in those companies and buy equities. And when they think it is right time to sell, they will sell and buy it in some other place. And they keep doing all of these to get more money for you. So
Hmm.
for this, they charge a small premium. There are something like annual maintenance charges. For example, if you have invested 1 lakh, right, maybe you will have to give 1,000 annually for them, for their
Hmm.
maintenance and things like this. At the same time, there will be something called entry and exit loads. So when you have to enter into that, right, maybe you have to give some a small premium, and when you exit also, you should give a small premium to them.
Hmm.
So yeah, this I never invested a rupee in mutual fund because of curiosity in the stock market, and later I understood the limitations of a fund manager. So I never invested, but it's a great instrument for anybody who does not have time to research.
Hmm. So in this, there is also the possibility that your whatever you invest a 1 lakh now,
Hmm.
it could grow to maybe two or three in whatever timeline. It could also come lesser than the 1 lakh by the time you cash in on it.
Yes, yes, mutual fund also have a downside risk. It is not that you will get back what you have invested. You might get more or you might get less. Yes.
Hmm. And that is one of the reasons in most of our houses that the FD is FD pass.
Yeah, but if you get enough returns in your FD, which will only cover inflation, right, you will not be able to grow. So here, when I speak about mutual funds or stock market, right, it is not about being content. It's more about making money aggressively.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So at this point, I think you should also consider about risk factor that you are putting in and the reward that you're getting.
Hmm.
This should only happen after all the basic steps are covered, like insurances, FDs, and things like this.
Hmm. That's interesting. So I've had you share some of these things in terms of some of the tools, the frameworks, and all of that. So
Yeah.
I'm also interested in learning in terms of
Mhm.
when do you know or what do you say no to?
Huh. Yeah, this is a good question. So, uh, loans, I am against loans. So, for example, when I started my career, right, all of my friends within like 6 months got a car.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 3, 4 years down the line, they bought a home.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I never chose for it. Only until I had hard cash, say, for example, of 8 lakhs with me, I never bought a car.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I would tell you. For example, Sunil, if you, for example, want to buy a home today, right? Maybe a good home that is in a good locality, you might have to shell out around 1.5 crore, right, in Bangalore at least.
Mm, yeah.
So, had you bought a home loan 2 years back at 6% interest rate, by the time you retire at 60, had you continued paying 1 lakh EMI every month, you could have completed your loan. Maybe 20 years down the line, you could have completed your loan. Okay.
Mm.
So 1.5 crores you take at 6.5%. Every month you pay 1 lakh, in 20 years, you will be able to repay. So how much would
Mm.
you have paid?
Definitely here.
So this is definitely higher, but the problem comes when in the economy, when the interest rate go up. Today, home loans have grown up from 6.5 to 9.5, right?
Okay, 9.5.
Yeah, they are not going to increase your EMI. What they are going to increase is your tenure.
Hmm.
So for the same 1.5 crores rent amount you have borrowed, right? At 9.5%, if you have to repay, right? Do you know how much of time it requires? Can
Generally,
you guess?
6 to 3, even a 3% would definitely put it 3 years, huh? 3 years stint.
Initially, you plan to complete it in 20 years, right?
Hmm. 20 to 23, no, 23-ish, I think I am. I'm just taking a wild guess, not doing too much calculation.
Even if you pay 1.25 crores a month, you have to pay for 100 years.
Oh, fuck. That is crazy.
Oh, yeah, 1.25 lakhs. Sorry. So even if you pay 1.25 lakhs a month, right, it will
Hmm.
extend until you are. So how would you make your money after you retire
Hmm.
to repay this loan? So these people don't actually calculate it on paper or see the other side of the story before buying homes or taking home loans. So I am against this. So I feel it's better to live frugally. It is good for the environment, good for you. Take maybe I carry only 4 or 5 shirts a year. I don't buy more than that. It is
Hmm.
sufficient for me. And yeah, whenever possible, yeah, I take scooter to my office. Though I can, for example, today I can buy a Benz and travel to office, but I still have a old Activa I drive because I think that is my lifestyle and I don't want to increase my lifestyle. It's a choice that I have taken in the best interest of me, my family, and the environment. So
Hmm.
these are something that you will have to practice to generate money and then use it to buy home or whatever you wish to, rather than actually taking loans and
Hmm.
playing with it. So these
This
are the
this reminds this reminds me of when I took my first camera. So I
yeah,
my first DSLR, I think, into my fourth salary and
yeah.
fourth month salary. So
Good.
first 3 months I was like, I'm not like first month you anyways know there's this like temple gifts to your parents and all of that. And
Yes, yes.
3 months of proper saving. And then I had enough money. I think then it was 25K or 30K. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll save 10K per each month and get to 25, 28, and then buy my DSLR.
Yeah, that's a good way to handle things.
Yeah, and I think even for me, loans has not been the greatest of, like when I look at it, I'm not so keen on it. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Even in terms of some of the readings and writings, some of my, like currently whatever I'm doing, I'm also doing it through a like a crowd-funded thing. So I've asked a few people interest-free
Mm-hmm.
loan and then pay it back within a particular timeline. I think even for me, that's thing that works because
Yeah,
loans, yeah, I don't think I have a good experience with that. But
yeah.
for a lot of people, it is a lifeline, right? So a lot of
Yes, yes.
may not have the 1.2 crores just at the tip of a hat saying, I can give it to you. So
Yeah.
it is also the other side of the story.
This is not a habit of just people alone, but I was researching a bit. Do you know that there is no country on the planet which is debt free?
Yeah, yeah, this I know, and it always fascinates me as to how the USD is close to trillions in dollars of debt. Saying, okay, that's where everybody, like most of our currency exchange in terms of oil, in terms of all of that, happens through the USD. And now things are changing. Now, ruble, and I think previously also Russian was there, but then now India and a few others are getting into it. So
So the,
that too, there
the
are so
question
much
is,
in debt.
who is giving debt to them? If all of them are having debts, who is giving the debt? So the secret is US is borrowing money from its future generations. This is the
Hmm.
most cruel thing I would say. So what they are doing is they are borrowing money or printing money in thin air with a guarantee that their future generation would pay back.
Hmm. This
This is I'm speaking about the Federal Reserve of US. So
uh-huh.
that is what they are doing.
So
So
this
this is a
Federal
very bad.
Reserve, how
Yeah.
does it work?
In terms of this scenario, what they do is They ask government to issue more securities, and then accordingly they print money and sell it in the open market. These are called bonds. So they sell it in the open market. So it is like they say, we are the world leaders, we guarantee you to repay this money with so much of interest, and can you buy? So people start buying. They believe in us. They have made sure that they are the world leaders. So
Mm.
they portray themselves as the saviors of the planet, and they say we are the superpower and you can trust us, and people blindly believe them. When they print money in thin air, people borrow it.
Hmm.
So so for example, if we buy oil from, say, one of the Arabian countries, right? So we have to pay them in dollars. So what happens is, we have money that is printed against a value, or an asset in the country, and this we
Hmm.
pay them, and they keep it to themselves, and they give money that is printed in thin air back to us, and we use this money to buy oil. So the Arabian country is losing oil, we are losing our money, which is backed by a asset, and they're we are accepting money that is printed in thin air from US.
Hmm. So there's a lot of world politics, there's national politics, there's different things that
Yeah.
essentially control or influence a particular financial decision.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
So there are wonderful books on this. You can read a lot of books about it, and especially when you understand what Nixon did to take US dollar against the gold standard. If you understand that a bit more, right, you will
Hmm.
know what dollar is.
So my background is, I think, so previously everything was on the gold bullion thing, right? So how much ever gold you have, you can print that much
Yes,
of money, and that was
yes.
scrapped and said USD is going to be the standard, or you can trade all your oil trades have to happen in USD.
All your oil trades have to happen, and also it is like he removed the gold standard. He said nobody in US can own gold. All the gold that is there in the country should be surrendered to the government, and once that is complete, he says that this US dollar is worth this much of gold. So it is his will and wish to say how much it is worth, and people were just blindly accepting it and taking it. So though they did not have
Hmm.
so much of gold to back it, right, they started
Hmm.
printing money in thin air.
Hmm. And so now, like for example, any other country in the world cannot be like, okay, we do not accept the USD, so that cannot happen.
See, it is not just linked to money, it is also linked to a lot of systems that they have developed. For example, in the Indian Ocean, right, they have a lot of vessels that they have put. So they say that we are going to protect your country no matter what. If there is some intrusion happening from, say, China or Russia, we are going to safeguard. So they say that globally we have our presence and we are going to help each and every country. So people obviously think that they are the saviors and they start believing in them. So this is also gaining value to a dollar, not backed by asset, but mainly backed by guarantees that these countries are going to give.
Hmm. So this is
So these are all more to do with the geopolitics and also to do
hmm.
with how economy has evolved.
Hmm. So because my understanding is there are different kingdoms that we got to, and then every kingdom had a different trading system. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, now the world accepts the USD, so no other country says no, we don't accept that. That is no longer the case. Like we have an 80,
Yeah.
like $1 is 80 rupees.
Yes.
We can't say okay, $1 is equal to 1 rupee now. So
Yeah. That is not a possibility anymore. Yeah. But I think that world order is going to change. It's not. It is not stagnant. It was with the Dutch, then with maybe I would say British, and then it is with US now, and maybe in the future it would be with Russia and China. We don't know. So world
hmm.
order is going to eternally change. You cannot say that eternally somebody is the king.
So, um, so yeah, I think wonderful insights into the complicated and interesting world of finance, financial planning, instruments, and all of that. Wherein I
Yeah.
also you touched the chord on I think one space when you said loans, and I think also I just want to just touch on that topic.
Mhm.
So you said sustainability. I think one of our favorite topics in terms
Yes.
You said you only have say 3 or 4 shirts that you buy in a time frame of a year. Use an Activa.
Yes,
Uh, and
yes.
what's your closing thoughts maybe on the sustainability angle?
Huh, on the sustainability angle, see, it is by practice. I am not somebody who is influenced by the West, who is trying to push the climate change agenda or anything onto us. So I am not fooled by their ideologies, but by practice, I think it is important that we take only as much as it is necessary from the nature around us, and we should try to safeguard it. So whatever you take, you have to give back to the nature. So this is something that we have to practice. So going alone in a car, burning so much of fuel, polluting, I don't think it's an efficient way. We are actually, I mean, if an alien comes to the planet and sees that we are driving individual cars, then he would certainly laugh at us and say we are doing such an inefficient system. So I don't think it's worthy to unnecessarily do lavish things or getting into the traps of fashion industry and things like this. I think it's only going to spoil you and also the nature around. So this is something everybody should be careful about while choosing.
Hmm. So I think yeah, there's a separate podcast to be made with the sustainability angle in space.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic.
Thank you, Akash. Thank you for your time and space and letting me know and letting my listeners know. I think in terms of what we need to do, in terms of our finances, in terms of uh, where to start, what not to do, how to go ahead with certain topics, and looking at gold, FTs, insurances, stock market. Thank you for your time and space in this space and
Yeah.
touching on the aspects of many other things in between.
Yes, I think, yeah, I can speak a lot about it, but in the best interest of time, I would also say, yeah, I think this is good that I was able to cover whatever I wanted to tell, and I hope that it would help somebody to come out of their financial burdens and lead a happy life. So I'm hoping at least a few get benefited out of it.
Yeah. So thank you, Akash. Thank you for your time and space. And hopefully, if you're listening in and want to learn a little more, you can just I think also reach out to Akash via LinkedIn, easiest platform to get in touch.
Yeah,
And yeah, you can ask him what you have to ask.
sure. I would be happy to respond.
Mm. The LinkedIn and the other details will be shared in the podcast link or the YouTube link. So yeah, stay tuned to the other episodes of People, Passion, and Purpose podcast. So this is a slightly detour in terms of the usual podcast. The usual podcast is about the stories of individuals, stories of people. But I thought this could be interesting, and do let me know in the comments. Do write me an email or let me know on WhatsApp as to how you felt about this podcast. What is that you resonated with, or any other aspects that you would like also to be reflected in the podcast in the coming episodes. So thank you so much for listening, and that's it. Until next time, until the next episode, until the next interesting theme and personality. Pungidasa signing off. Thank you.